Dragon's Tooth is one of the most popular hikes on the Appalachian Trail. It is considered a bucket list hike for a lot of people, and that includes my daughter and I. This was the last hike of Virginia's Triple Crown Loop hikes that we had left to get done, and so we were excited to be able to get that done this summer before my daughter had to leave for boot camp. The other two hikes on Virginia's Triple Crown Loop are Tinker Cliffs and McAfee Knob, with McAfee Knob being probably the most popular of all three hikes. Dragon's Tooth Trail is located near Catawba, Virginia, and it does have trailhead access from a parking lot, but the parking lot spaces are fairly limited, and because this trail is so popular, it's recommended that you try to do this not during peak time, so not on the weekends or mid-afternoon. You want to really go either during the week or early morning or both, because again, this trail is very popular and that parking lot fills up pretty quick, and you can't park down on the road below it because you will get towed. So you definitely want to get there early enough or go during the week so you can get a parking spot. They do have a restroom in the parking lot, which is nice, but when we were there in June, it was closed due to COVID. They also have a bear-proof garbage can, which is also nice because it gives you somewhere to throw your trash away. This hike is 4.8 miles round trip, and I really thought that the trail was well maintained, well marked. Now, it is considered a moderate to difficult trail, and I would agree with that for the most part, but I'll talk a little bit more about that here coming up. As you can see here, there is a creek. There are creeks going along a large part of this, and there's at least a couple times where you have to cross the creek because it goes right across the trail. But my daughter and I thought that was kind of neat. For about the first mile and a half of this hike, I would call it easy. Now, it gets its moderate to difficult label from the last 3/4 of a mile roughly of the hike. But this first part, like I said, was really fairly easy. And I would say, even though my daughter just tripped right there, I would say that it would actually be fine for kids even, because it's not all that difficult at all. But once you get to that last 3/4 of a mile, that's kind of a different story. And I'll be showing that and you will see what I'm talking about there. But definitely much more difficult the last part of it. And I don't think that's very kid friendly, at least not little kids. I would say the same for dogs too. I think that last 3/4 of a mile of the hike might be a little much for a lot of dogs. I know it would be for mine. And then here we got a little surprise by this snake that was coming across the trail and gave us a little startle, but he was non-venomous, so not a big deal. Big snake, but not a big deal because, like I said, not a venomous snake. But you do definitely want to be on the lookout for snakes because they are out there, both venomous and non-venomous. I'm always more concerned about looking out for bear, so I'm not usually looking down at the ground as much as I probably should. And like I said, this guy kind of startled me a little bit. He wasn't very happy with me trying to get footage of him either. And of course, there were tons of bugs, including the centipede that my daughter just thought was really fascinating for some reason. So back to the difficulty of this trail. As I said, this first a mile and a half was pretty easy terrain. You can see here there's a little bit of rocks, a little bit of ruggedness, but overall not really a lot, especially compared to some other trails that I've been on. So pretty smooth, pretty easy to walk on. The ascent to the top is 1,100 feet. So you're obviously going uphill, but I think a lot of that elevation gain comes in that last 3/4 of a mile too, because it didn't really feel like we were doing any severe uphill hiking on this first a mile and a half too. There was a gradual incline or elevation gain, but it wasn't very severe. So here we're coming to the point where Dragon's Tooth intersects with the Appalachian Trail. And as you can see there, it is 0.7 miles, or as I said, about 3/4 of a mile to Dragon's Tooth. And this is where the hike takes kind of a drastic change in difficulty, as far as I'm concerned. And here's a sign telling you what's going to be coming up as far as the rockiness. So this is just kind of the start of that trail, getting a little bit rockier, but this was still fairly easy to get through. They do a really good job of marking this trail, which is good because there's some sections where you could kind of get confused as to where you're going. But as you can see there, the white hash marks are along the trail, even on the rocks, directing you in the right way to go. And now that we're getting closer to the top, we have a little bit of a peekaboo view there. And this, I would say, is the very start of where it starts getting a lot more difficult, a little bit sketchy. I was a little concerned going up this. You can see that it's super narrow in there, and it's very much straight up and down. So this is where I'm talking about kids or small kids and dogs, I would think would have a really hard time getting up this, because I didn't have the easiest time getting up it myself. So this is definitely where this trail kind of changes and gets a lot more difficult, because everything up before this was not too bad. And there's a little more of a view showing through here at this point. Here we're coming to our first set of metal rungs, and these are the ones that they showed on the sign before you even start the trail. There are 2 sets. And this is one of those sections or areas on the trail where I would think it would be difficult to do if you're a dog. But I did see dogs on this trail. They were down below this point, so I don't know if they went all the way up, but there were definitely dogs on it. I just don't think this is the most dog-friendly trail, at least out of the ones that I've been on. And there are more hash marks and arrows. Again, they really mark this trail very, very well. It would be difficult to get lost on it, or get off of it, I guess, because it's just so well marked. So that was kind of a nice thing to see. A little bit more of a view up top. Now we've pretty much reached the top, and we've got just a 1/10 of a mile left before we get to Dragon's Tooth. And there it is. Now, there were people sitting right in front of it, taking pictures and stuff, so we kind of just explored around it because there's some other rock formations on each side of it. So we checked those out, and we had a little lunch and just kind of waited our turn to get some pictures in front of Dragon's Tooth. But the whole area up there was really pretty. There were some great views, and again, other rock formations that were kind of neat to check out. So again, other than the last 3/4 of a mile of this trail, we didn't find it all that difficult. And yeah, it just, that last little bit was a little bit difficult, but it was definitely worth it, I think, to get up here, because it was really a neat view. The rock itself, which is a 35-foot rock, by the way, is neat to see. It was just a really enjoyable hike. So I'm glad that we got this done and off of our bucket list. And now we can say that we've done all 3 of Virginia's Triple Crown Loop hikes. And we barely got this done before my daughter had to leave for boot camp too. So it was when we weren't really thinking we were gonna get done, but we did. And so that was really neat to get that done together. Now that we've completed all 3 hikes on the Triple Crown Loop, I would say my favorite out of them was probably McAfee Knob, followed by this one, Dragon's Tooth. and then lastly, Tinker Cliffs. All three of them were great hikes though, so I would recommend any of them if you get the chance to do them. I will also link the other 2 videos I did on Tinker Cliffs and McAfee Knob up above and down below, and you can check those out if you want to. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you on the next one.